Hello, my friends, mis amigos. I'm trying to think of other languages. My friends, mis amigos, mis amis, I think is French. Anyway, my name is Jeremy Siskind. I'm the author of the Jazz Piano Fundamentals series, which now includes Book 3, Modal and Modern, as well as playing solo jazz piano. And I've been teaching some counterpoint recently, and I've been trying to think of some ways to make counterpoint a little bit more accessible. Because I think, for those of us who even know what counterpoint is, when we think about it, we think about, I'm going to do a fugue. I'm going to play four voices. I'm going to be a jazz genius, which Brad Beldow, Fred Hirsch, Sullivan Fortner, those guys are out there being counterpoint geniuses. But even for the rest of us, we can access some elements of counterpoint. And so I want to show you what I think is kind of a cool way. So I guess first of all, I should say, if you don't know what counterpoint is, it means managing multiple melodies at the same time. In a certain way, we're always doing this, but counterpoint kind of refers to a, highlighting the fact that there are multiple melodies rather than thinking kind of up and down, right? So when we play a Bach piece, I don't know if I'm playing this right. Right, that's an invention in D minor. It's just two melodies happening at the same time. And when we hear that, we don't really think chord. What we're hearing is these two melodies interacting. And yes, they create things that I think we could call chords, but it's those melodies that are in the forefront. Okay, so what I want to talk about is having two different melodies in one hand. And a nice way to do this is to think in sixths. And I choose the interval of 6 because it is a consonant interval, right? Meaning that it implies a harmony. It doesn't need resolution. And it's just beautifully spaced. So if we're, playing body and soul, like I have written at the top of the sheet here. I don't know why my camera's so dark. Maybe that's a little bit better. Nope. Six are kind of an obsession of mine, if I'm being honest. I went through a period where I learned all these different etudes in sixth, every one that I could find, including Chopin, and Scriabin has, and then Debussy has. So much. Okay, anyway, that's too much information about this guy. So, sixth below body and soul, this melody of body and soul. When choosing a major, you could use either a major or a minor sixth. I'm usually choosing from the scale. But you can, kind of also think of it as being not that different than figuring out what's a chord tone and a non-chord tone. And chord tones harmonize with other chord tones, and non-chord tones harmonize with other non-chord tones. Actually, I can just do this. So, I'm thinking about E flat, maybe Dorian or melodic minor, some sort of minor. Now, this is kind of an awkward spot right here. The chord changes while the melody's holding. And plus, if I held over that D flat, it would be the 4th or 11th of that A flat 7th. So I'm going to change it to a D natural. That's now a minor 6 rather than a major 6, but still a 6. I think it's very nice. A little sharp 11 action. You could see that I'm really, really spatially gifted based on how I laid these measures out. It's really good. Okay, D flat major. I'm going to select notes from the D flat major scale. G flat major, I'm going to just kind of keep using the same notes. I think I like the G natural just slightly better than the G flat there, although either one could work. just going to put a natural there in case you're thinking about the key signature. Then I'm going to select notes from the octatonic scale for the last two of the measure. Okay, so we've got this basic thing. Okay, so this is lovely. I think this is a nice start of an arrangement or whatever. I wouldn't really call this like counterpoint because we're not really hearing separate voices, right? This sounds like a melody shadowed below, or a melody harmonized, a melody harmonization, whatever you want to, however you want to think of it. So what are some ways that we can transform this simple harmonization to something that sounds a little bit more contrapuntal without being geniuses like Fred or Brad or Sullivan? Okay, so to kind of show you the basic examples, I went ahead and showed you, okay, so here's one octave of a C major scale harmonized with 6 below. That's the very first thing on top here. By the way, one of the reasons I did all those 6 etudes was to figure out good fingerings for 6, and I tried never to repeat a finger, whether, or rarely to repeat a finger, certainly not on the top note. I don't want to repeat a finger. But that's maybe another topic for another day and probably for a better pianist than me. Okay, so the second example, which I'm about to circle in blue, we're taking those 6 and we're offsetting them. We're putting the lower line, 16th note, I guess, later, so that they come on what we might see as the off beats, and the top note stays as the quote-unquote on beats, or 8th note beats, whatever you want to call them. And here I definitely am using the pedal to connect. Before I go back up to the body and soul example, let's look at the next one because I'll show you that at the same time. I'm going to highlight it in yellow here. And here I'm also just offsetting them, but I am offsetting them so that now the melody, the top note, comes on the staggered beats and the lower note comes on the beat. So how would these two apply if we're going to play body and soul here? So I'm going to first keep the melody note in its original rhythmic position and stagger the lower line. So if you do that for the entire time, maybe it's a little bit repetitive or something. It's just occurring to me that you might want to see my hand while I do that. I'm going to do it one more time. Right? So now I can really hear two different melodies. I can hear it's like a trumpet and a violin. I don't know, however you want to think about it. Also realizing my head is just like so cut off. Gotta see this luscious head of hair. Can you tell I've been answering emails all day, and I'm so happy to be actually dealing with music. Okay, so beyond that, let's look over here first. We could, for instance, also repeat one of the lines. So this is just one possible example of, or I'll do it. That's more of a sharp 16th note. And of course there's a million different ways we could do this. We could, but repeating is going to help separate them. And in this second example here, I'm going to highlight it in green. We're looking at staggering between these two. So now we're repeating, but not exactly together. We're not changing exactly together. You can see that in these red dotted lines is where the bottom melody changes. So let's see how these work with body and soul. So to think about repeating notes. I don't know how long you want to do that, but kind of interesting. And if we stagger, I think it gets even more interesting. Okay, so kind of nice. Now, it is possible to repeat the melody notes. It's a little bit of an unusual choice, though, because usually we like to imagine a singer or a horn player, playing the melody. And a singer is probably not going to, say, my heart was sad and then lonely, right? But, for effect, it could be kind of cool. And certainly, I'm doing this on a melody to make it easy, but this could also be for a solo. If you're soloing, kind of fun, right? It's a nice tool to play around with. So then, maybe it's obvious, but we could add notes or even change some of the sixths, right? So I made a little pattern. The red notes, this note circled in red, I'm here, by the way, are the sixths. So we can make a little connection, sometimes we might put a chromatic note in between. Right? Most places in scales are whole steps, so why not fill it in with a little half step? So, if we take that kind of idea, scale embellishments. Let me try it one more time, see if I can do something better. Right, so I'm still using these six as touchstones, as kind of the skeleton. And then I'm embellishing beyond that, right? I was kind of proud of what I played at the end. And some of the times that six is a little bit delayed, which I think is actually nice to have it just a bit staggered like that. So, I think there's just a billion possibilities here. Let me just play a little bit more of body and soul, not thinking necessarily about any particular device, but thinking about shadowing the melody in six. So. And here, I'll let you see what I play, if that helps. But, this is a somewhat, I don't want to say crude device, but it's a simple approach that can have profound consequences. So if you watched all the way to the end of this video, first of all, I think you'd really love playing solo jazz piano, and especially this second edition, which I can't say is new anymore. It's a whole year old. And then next, please tweet at us in the comment section. Don't tweet with the term sixth sense, because we're talking about six. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching.